Hi everybody, MCQs don't just test your memorization, they test your understanding of key legal principles. As a result, this presentation is related to court system in Sri Lanka and practice MCQs. First of all, learning objectives. Know about civil and criminal offences, only a basic meaning. Understand the hierarchy of courts in Sri Lanka. Differentiate between criminal, civil and specialized courts. And recognize the role of each court in the justice system. To emphasize a key points, Sri Lanka's courts are hierarchically structured for its efficiency. Specialized courts address specific issues such as labor, children or commercial matters, and medical legal practitioners play a critical role in bridging medicine and law. What is the basis of the legal framework of Sri Lanka? As Sri Lanka is a multiracial and multilingual country, the legal systems reflect the customs of the different communities that make up Sri Lankan society and also the legal system. Sri Lanka was under foreign rule for several hundred years. As a result, there is a mixture of legal systems of Roman Dutch law, English law, Canadian law, and Thesavalamian Muslim law. Simply speaking, criminal law is based on English law, while much of the common law is based on Roman Dutch law. Very interesting part of the presentation. The legal system in Sri Lanka is structured two types of litigations, criminal law and civil law. Leaving everything aside, let's concentrate on these aspects. Imagine that there is a country where the people are very civilized and there are no homicides. There may be rarely, but there are no homicides, sexual assault cases, no thefts, nothing. And also imagine there is a country where are lots of homicides, rape cases, assaults, thefts, etc. etc. So now what's the difference? In these two countries, in the first country, there are laws. That means government had imposed lots of laws to protect their people. Whereas to that, in the second country, there are no laws to protect the civilians. Now you can understand the difference. So that means there should be laws imposed by the government or a state to protect their people. If somebody is going to break such kind of law, that means state has to take actions against the person to punish him. Nobody can't break the law. So as a result, now this kind of laws are termed as public laws or criminal laws. So as a result, state punishes the wrongdoer, as you can see here. That means offences are considered wrongs against the community, not just as an individual. It is the primary duty of a state to impose laws against rape, murder, arson, thefts, etc. etc. Now you can nicely understand that states should impose law to protect the society or to protect individuals. That means such kind of laws are called criminal laws. In contrast to that, imagine a situation where there is a land dispute due to an illegal boundary. What do you think now? Is it necessary to state directly come and involve in this problem? Not really. There are a different kind of courts where these people will go and can start a court case to get the suitable resolution. As you can understand, now such kind of court cases are called civil cases. That means individual versus individual. Did someone cause harm or loss? That should be fixed, and by whom? To the person who caused the damage. Whereas to that, in case of a criminal case, society versus individual. That means, did the person break the law? Now you can understand there is a very nice difference in between civil law and criminal law. When there is a civil dispute, example divorce cases, debts, land disputes and etc., the victimized person should go to a civil case, as I have mentioned you earlier, file a case against the wrongdoer. However, if someone is going to break the law of the country, so that means criminal law, the state is going to file a case against the wrongdoer. You can understand the difference very nicely now. Criminal versus civil. Criminal cases means some acts are considered criminal because they harm others or threaten the community. Now here, the concern is to protect the society by imposing laws. If somebody is going to break such law, the state is going to prosecute the person or the wrongdoer. What for? To punish the person in the forms of imprisonment, fine, or both. What are the examples? Murder, sexual assault, rape, grievous bodily harm, drug trafficking, arson. Now you can understand civil cases are dealt to protect the society as a whole, and in contrast to that, civil cases means these are the disputes that might occur in between two individual parties. Examples: land disputes, as you can understand, any compensation problem, any debts, not settling debts, property problems. You can understand. Now, state should not come into directly to that part because the victimized party can go to the courts, termed as plaintiff, and can file a court case in a civil court against that person. So that means with the court case, the person should be compensated, all right, not punished. Now you can understand in criminal cases, if somebody is going to get proved as a wrongdoer, he will be punished. But in a civil case, the person should be compensated with money, property, or some kind of actions. Let's elaborate the same concepts with two simple examples. Example 1, a man attacks another with a knife in public. So what are the offences? Criminal offence. What's that? State had prohibited to assault anybody else. So as a result, state is going to prosecute the attacker. If he is going to prove for the act, he is going to get imprisonment or maybe a fine. So what's the civil component there? Now, if victim gets certain injuries and he was unable to go for his work, lost wages and etc., the victim can go personally to a civil court and can lodge a complaint, can start with a court case to get the compensation from the attacker. So no government involved there directly. Whereas to that, in the first instance, that means during the criminal thing, state is going to prosecute the attacker whether he is do an offense or not. Now, in this case, that means in civil case, state will not come there. These two people has to have a court case and they have to look after by themselves. That means if the victim is going to win, the attacker should pay money, or that means should pay the compensation for the victim. Example 2, road traffic accident. Driver hits pedestrian due to negligence. So what's the criminal part? The state had prohibited drinking and driving. So as a result, the state is going to have a court case against the driver in a criminal court. If the victim had got certain injuries and everything and he had to go to the hospital and pain and he has to suffer, so in this case, the victim can go to a civil case and can start a court case against the driver to get the compensation, not the punishment. So now these are the two examples that you can think of. Now you know compensation claims, in other words, civil cases are handled by district courts. Civil courts means district courts. Examples: personal injury, work-related injury, medical negligence cases, divorce cases, land disputes. What do you mean by criminal cases? That means offences against society handled by magistrates' courts in the first instances. If the case is going to go further, such cases are handled by high courts. Example: serious crimes, etc. Assault, murder, sexual abuse. Now you can understand, for civil cases, only one court, district court, but for criminal cases, as a lower court, magistrate courts, and if the case is serious, such cases will move on to high courts as well. So criminal cases in two types: magistrates and then higher courts for further hearing. Doctors may appear as expert witnesses to explain injuries, cause of death, or disability. What does it mean? Now you can understand, lawyers, judges actually do not know about the gravity of the injury and the causation and everything. It is purely a medical knowledge. Now you can understand, doctors should appear in courts to assist in court cases. And as a result, accurate documentation ensures fair and just decisions as well. I included this slide to read you all leisurely. Court system in Sri Lanka has got a hierarchical order, as you can understand. Superior court, primary or subordinate courts, specialized courts and tribunals. So these are the bodies established to settle certain types of disputes, specific ones. In this image, it is nicely elaborated about the hierarchical order. Primary courts, magistrate court, district court, high courts, court of appeal, and Supreme Court. As you can understand, Supreme Court is the highest court in Sri Lanka. What are the superior courts? Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, and High Court. And primary or subordinate courts, district courts, magistrate courts, primary courts. What are the specialized courts and tribunals? So if you can understand, labor tribunal, or there may be commercial issues and commercial high courts for that, and children's court, military courts, and so on. I am going to just describe very simply towards the end of the presentation. Just you can read this slide. And this slide as well. This slide also describes about specialized courts and tribunals. I am going to summarize certain important points here. Each and every criminal case should first go into the magistrate courts, each and every one. Then magistrate will ask the case. If he can finish the case, that means the matter is less serious, he will finish the case and punish the wrongdoer. Punish the wrongdoer, not compensated. Alright? If the case is more serious, it definitely should go to the High Court. Now, High Court judge will give the decision. If one of the parties is not satisfied with the decision given by the High Court judge, they can appeal to the Court of Appeal. If the decision is not that satisfied for them, then they can go for Supreme Court. Alright, so this is the pattern of criminal case. Moving on to civil cases, they all have to go to the district court, and district judge will give the decision. If one of the parties is not satisfied with the decision given by the district judge, they can go to the Court of Appeal. Now you can understand, either in a criminal case or civil case, if they are not satisfied, they have to go to the Court of Appeal. If the decision is further not satisfied, civil offences will also go to the Supreme Court. Now you can understand now, in case of criminal cases, there are two stages. Magistrate court for lesser degree, higher degree ones should go to the High Court. So now this is the basic hierarchy of appeals in court cases. Another interesting aspect about differences of criminal and civil cases. This is very important one, right? Criminal cases, civil cases, who brings the case first? As you can understand now, criminal cases will bring into the action by the state, right? So on behalf of the state, police will take the pioneering action. That means the prosecution will be done by state. What about the civil case? The case will be brought by the plaintiff or the individual who has already been victimized. What is the standard of proof? In any court case, it should be proven by one of the parties. Now, in case of criminal case, the state has to prove it, all right? And also, it has to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. That means there should not be any reason to have any doubt that he has done this murder. He has raped this person. That means an extremely high standard, often unofficially estimated as around 99%. That means state has to prove that he is the murderer like. Whereas to that, in case of civil cases, the victimized party should prove that there is a loss for him because of the other party. That means he has to prove it with the balance of probabilities. All right. So that means it is basically more than 50% like. Balance of probabilities here beyond reasonable doubt. The outcome, as you can understand by the time now, in criminal cases, it is punishment, but in this case, it is compensation or remedy. So now this is a very important slide because you will get lots of MCQs during your examinations based on these facts. Finally, I have to help you all with one other important topic: official titles and references of legal acts and ordinances in Sri Lankan legislation. What do you mean by penal code? It defines criminal offences and punishments, right? So criminal offences and punishments, nothing else. What do you mean by code of criminal procedure? So it describes procedures. That means regulates how criminal cases are conducted, including investigations and trials. It describes about criminal case procedures. What do you mean by civil procedure code? That means civil cases are going to be discussed or the procedures are described here. Finally, evidence ordinance. That means how courts are going to handle evidence. It's not the discussion of the magistrate or judge. Everybody has to obey the evidence ordinance, and it sets rules about what evidence can be used and how in both criminal and civil cases. Moving on to the most important part, practice MCQs regarding court systems and related matters in Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan legal framework is also from Roman Dutch law. Yes, it's correct. Mostly civil law part. High courts are dealing with criminal cases. Definitely correct. Magistrate courts only hear about civil cases. It is incorrect. Magistrate courts only hear criminal cases, not civil cases. All the cases reported to the magistrate courts will refer to the high courts. It is incorrect. We discussed it, right? So each and every criminal case will move on to the magistrate court, but only a proportion of a number of cases will move on to the high courts depending on the severity of the crime. So this is incorrect. The highest court in Sri Lanka is the appeal court. It is wrong. It is the Supreme Court. Supreme Court considers appeals of civil and criminal cases. Yes, we discussed it. It's correct. Sri Lanka has a hierarchical system for the court system, definitely correct. In a case of road traffic accident, there may be both civil and criminal cases, definitely correct. The person can be harmed with certain injuries and he can't go for work, so loss of wages and all. So he can have a civil case asking for compensation from the person who was the driver. And also state will have another case against the driver to punish the person. Regarding court system and important aspects in Sri Lanka, the standard of proof of a criminal case is within balance of probabilities. It is incorrect. It should be beyond reasonable doubt. Otherwise, an innocent person will go into the jail. So as a result, there should not be any doubt, right? So the standard of proof of a criminal case is beyond reasonable doubt. But for a civil case, it's just getting compensation and all. So that is within the balance of probabilities. The burden of proof of a criminal case lies on the prosecution. Yes, that's true. That means state criminal case. All right. Because such offences are considered that the person is going against the state of a country. The standard of proof in a civil case is to be beyond reasonable doubt. It is correct, right? So it is correct, beyond reasonable doubt. Correct. The burden of proof in a civil case lies on the plaintiff. Yes, that means the victimized person. He is the one who goes to the civil court. Hey, look that I was victimized by the act of this person. Alright, so plaintiff should go to the civil court and also he has to prove that he was victimized with the action of the other person, individual versus individual. So this is correct. Penal Code Act indicates the civil offences. It's definitely incorrect, right? So penal code always for criminal offences, not for civil offences. Criminal Procedure Act elaborates the criminal offences. What do you think about the answer? It's definitely incorrect. Criminal Procedure Act, right? So it describes about criminal law and how should be done such procedures. Alright, so then it is incorrect. Alright, Criminal Procedure Act elaborates criminal offences. It's incorrect. Penal Code elaborates about criminal offences. Starting towards the final slide, Penal Code indicates the criminal offences and punishments. Yes, correct. Evidence Ordinance in Sri Lanka describes about the procedure how evidence are to be handled. Definitely correct. That's what it indicates. Evidence Ordinance, how evidence are given. Simple. Criminal Procedure Code describes the process related to criminal investigations and trials. Yes, processes. Procedure Code. Alright, so in this case, it's really correct. Imprisonment and fine are characteristic features of civil law. What do you think? It is incorrect. In case of civil law, you always get compensation, not a punishment. Ordering to pay compensation is seen in civil cases. Definitely correct. Thank you.